Hello, 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 Globies. I am here outside the Quartzsite City Hall and the Quartzsite Library. And guess who I'm going to interview today? I'm going to interview the Quartzsite Town Manager, Jim Ferguson, the nicest fellow you ever wanted to meet. And he's going to share with you why he loves Quartzsite and why he retired here. That's right, he retired here in Quartzsite, and he's going to tell you why it's a great place to retire, and not only that, but a great place to raise a family. And guess what? It's also a great place even in the summer. So come on, let's go talk to Jim, find out a little bit about the history of Quartzsite and why he thinks it's a great place, also why it's a very affordable place to live year-round. So come on, let's go meet Jim. Well, hello, I'm here with Jim Ferguson, who is the town manager. Would that be your title?
That's correct, yeah.
And you've been in Quartzsite for how long?
I've been here a little over 6 years.
And you're kind of an RVer. You live in your mobile home?
I live in a motor home.
So Jim, about how many people would you say between November and say February actually converge upon Quartzsite?
Well, I hear different numbers, but I can tell you it's easily 1 million folks that'll come through here in that period of time. We have some folks that come as early as October and stay till March just simply because of the weather alone. And that's in the tens of thousands of people that'll come just for that. The people that come from the shows is that shorter time that you're talking about, and that clearly is easily 1 million to 100,000 or so, given the different shows, and we have several shows they can come for.
So you have like the Big Tent, we were talking about the Rock and Gym shows, the powwow. So several events that are occurring during the winter.
Right.
And so I would imagine that the financial impact to the city, because I hear so many, businesses say, well, we make most of our money during the season.
Yeah.
So I would wonder, so the RVers that come into town really are a benefit and a boon to the economy in Quartzsite.
Oh, absolutely. They're a big part of our economy, and they have been for years. For the overall economy, you're talking in the millions, probably 10, 20 million dollars. What we see in our own coffers at the tax levels, of course, just a fraction of that, but it's still a significant blip when we look at the difference that we receive in the months of October, November. Even what we receive in January, February far exceeds that just in that 6 to 8 week period.
Wow. Well, give us a little bit of the history of Quartzsite, why don't you? How it started out and how it turned into the winter haven for RVers and rock hunters that it has become.
Well, we started out, we were called Tyson Wells, and essentially it's because there were wells in this area, and so the traveling folks who were going to other destinations would stop here to water up their stock. Eventually, people began to realize that there was gold here, there were other gems and stones, and so we became a little bit more of a destination for those people who would come in to mine those, and that's how we kind of got the Quartzsite name. People who then were mining these started selling them and finding traveling public that had an interest, and others, the word spread, and others would come in and find that they could barter, they could trade, they could bring some stones from their areas of the country and trade with people for rocks here. So obviously when you get people coming in, they need food, so you'd get people who bring food in and start vending, and the vending just continued to grow and grow to where thousands of vendors literally would come into the area. Gradually, people began to travel in with more modern day motorhomes and campers and such. And so all of a sudden we became kind of the RV capital, in that way as well. And so we have literally thousands of people come in for that. And so we've transcended to a point where now we're known for just a great place to spend the winter, let alone just come here for the shows, in a shorter part of the season.
Talking, Jim, about Quartzsite and how the temperature in the winter is so moderate and easy to adapt to, but also in the summer, even when it's hot, we were talking about how affordable it is and how so many people come to Quartzsite, especially retirees on limited budgets, come here because it's an affordable place to live compared to other places. Can you talk about the affordability of Quartzsite and what makes Quartzsite such a wonderful town to live in?
Well, actually, you're right. There are those people who come here and they're here year round. I know a lot of people think, well, it's unbearable. You just can't live in 115-degree temperature. Well, people have been doing it for a long time.
And you live here full time.
I do, and you know, of course today we have air conditioning that helps that respect. But I've got family members that were here in the early 40s and they didn't have air conditioning. So people have lived in this kind of climate for a long time, and it can be done very inexpensively.
Well, just to give people a little bit of your background, we were talking and I was really impressed. You were the mayor of Provo, Utah for 8 years.
Yes, I was. That's early in my career when I was in my early 30s. Mm-hmm.
And you've worked, you said you were on the, what is the National Association of Mayors?
U.S. Conference of Mayors, yes, and also the National League of Cities Board of Directors. So I've been involved pretty extensively in government for a lot of years.
And you've worked with mayors from very large cities across the country.
I have, yeah.
So you had a choice of places to retire. You could have stayed in Provo. You had many choices. You had actually access and knowledge of other cities, and you chose Quartzsite. So what made you choose Quartzsite?
Well, you know, initially I chose Quartzsite because I had a friend that was helping the town find a new town manager and asked me if I'd come over here for a little while and help. Quartzsite was having some struggles and some political issues and so forth. And so that's why I came, but I found a little town that is a great little place and some good people, but they were having struggles that I felt I could help with.
Okay.
And so I decided to stay on. And while I came over for a 3 to 4 month period, I've ended up being here over 6 years now. You know,
oh my. So that says a lot. Someone who had knowledge of many other cities chose to live here in Quartzsite. So you're saying that it's a wonderful place to live and grow a family even.
Well, it is. And that, of course, is something that we're continuing to work on is young families need jobs. And so we're working on the economic development side of things now, and we're having some success. And I think in the next 3 to 5 years, you'll see a lot more jobs being created here that'll provide the kind of income that the young families need.
Well, Jim, thank you so much. I love Quartzsite. You know, I come here in the winter, but I've met several people who live here year round. And in fact, I just met someone who works over at the library who was a nomad, and she passed through and she ended up buying a place here, and she lives here full time now.
And you'll see a lot of that. If you talk to people, every now and then you'll find somebody that's how they started here, including our former mayor.
Wow.
He lived in a car for a long time under one of the local bridges, you know. So.
Well, you know what? If you don't mind, when I come back through, I'm going to check and see some of the things that you're doing here and some of the new developments, because we were talking about some things that you're looking at maybe bringing in, or just some ideas you were batting about. You don't know for sure, but there's a lot of ideas that you have and other people here have as to bringing interesting things into town. Yeah. And so I'd like to do an update in the future.
Good. We welcome you back and love to talk with you.
Thank you so much, Jim. We'll see you down the road.
Absolutely.
Bye-bye.
Bye.